Wow, this is so fun.
Hi, it is fun. It's a fun little Friday afternoon treat.
Yeah. Heather Vickery and Nancy Shadlock reporting live from Zoom.
And it totally won't be live because we couldn't figure out how to both go live at once. So
Right.
we're going to pretend we're live, folks. We hope you watch. We have fun things to share with one another, and we thought it'd be fun to share it with you all as well.
Yeah. So tell me about your book. I hear it's
Aha,
coming out soon. I want to hear
right?
all about it.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I have a new book coming out, but for those folks who are watching on your platform and have no idea who I am, I'm Heather Vickery. Hi. Brave is my business. My entire business revolves around Brave. I'm the creator of the Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs Program, the Brave Files podcast, and I have this new book coming out where I teach the Brave Method, which is my coaching approach platform to creatively and strategically problem solve, plan, and dream to live a life that you love and that you feel happy about and joy filled and all sorts of wonderful things. And the book is called Fuck Fearless. So hopefully we don't have any sensitive ears on your feed here, Nancy. But the title comes making the brave leap. The title comes from the idea that we live in this society that has somehow taught us that being fearless should be the goal. This idea that as long as you don't feel fear, you're strong and brave, and that's just not true, right? Like we know that's not true. Fearlessness is really for sociopaths and 3-year-olds. If you're fearless about something, it means you've put zero thought into it. It means you're not planning, you're not being thoughtful and intentional. And fear is normal. It's a natural, normal human emotion. I don't know about you, but I'm afraid like 10 times a day. How often are you afraid, Nancy?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot, right? And so we can learn from that. Like, okay, this really scares me. What about this scares me? What does it tell me about myself? And is it a good fear or a bad fear? Am I in danger fear, or does it just feel uncomfortable, or what is it trying to tell me? We can learn from that fear and then leverage that knowledge into intentional bravery. Because when we reframe that, when we act anyway, when we choose bravely on purpose, both my study, my research, my coaching, my life tells us, all of my clients tell us that when we choose bravely on purpose, we choose bigger, we win bigger, and it's contagious. And I think it's really true. So all of that to say, the Brave Method helps you do that. And the book, Fuck Fearless, Making the Brave Leap, takes you through the Brave Method through a series of memoir stories of my own, case studies that I call Brave Spotlights, which feature podcast guests and past clients or current clients who are out doing this work, and then Brave Action Section. So you can like actually go and do this. It's super tangible, like in the moment, go try it right now. Lots of little chapters. Do you like to, I read a lot. Do you read a lot, Nancy?
Yeah, especially audiobooks
Well,
lately.
we're going to get to it. I don't have an audiobook coming out yet, but we're going to do it. It's going to come out in the next 6 months. I like little chapters. Like I
Yeah.
feel right. So I find I actually read more. I'm like, let's do, it's only 2 more pages. Let me just read this little chapter. And I catch myself, I go faster. And if I know there's like 20 pages in a chapter, I'm like, it feels like a drag. So lots of little chapters, little stories, moments to connect with. And then you're going to read it. And then you're going to go back and go, I wanted to read that section about boundaries, or that section about delegation, or this section about vulnerability, or whatever it's going to be. And you can easily go back and find those bits and parts that you want to find. So that's a long-winded overhaul of my book.
That's awesome. When you think about somebody walking down the aisles of Amazon,
Bookshop.org. No, I'm kidding.
right. Or a nice little bookshop in your town. Like, who do you hope finds it and that it really makes a difference in their life?
So I love that question. And I don't want to be the person that's like, my book is for everyone. It's not for everyone, but it is for you, whoever you are. If you have decided that playing small is no longer for you, that you want to be in control of how you feel about how you spend your time, you want to rewrite the story, not let anybody else be in charge. It's time for you to own all of your feelings, take action, towards building a life that you actually love. And I work a lot with entrepreneurs. I do speak a lot about being a business owner, but you don't have to be a business owner to enjoy the book. You do, however, have to kind of want to say fuck it to all of this stereotypical bullshit that's been happening in our lives, in our society forever. And you want to chuck it out the window and start over on your own terms. And it's a really bright, colorful cover that literally says fuck fearless on it. I mean, there's an asterisk, but you can't miss it. So you also probably are a little sassy if you like my book, because I'm a little sassy.
Yeah. Can you tell us a story of when you really like just sent it all away and we're like, I'm going to do it on my terms?
Yeah. I've done it a lot recently in the last 8 years, but the best version, I actually told this story on your podcast, and I don't think that's aired yet, right? It's not coming out for a bit. So we'll give a sneak peek. Nancy and you and I met through a queer networking group, and I didn't come out until I was 38. I'd been married a decade. I had 4 kids, and the perfect stereotypical American life. We literally lived in the biggest, fanciest house in town, had lots of money. I ran a successful event planning business. My kids were healthy. My husband was nice. He's a nice guy. And I hated myself and I hated my life. And every decision I made was fear-based. So when I talk about getting to know your fears and getting real with them in order to like tuck them in your pocket and move forward, I mean, I know what you're going through because I've done that. Right. Mm-hmm. And there became a moment in my life where I realized that I would never want my children to choose a life that I was choosing. I would never want them to live a small fear-based life. I would want them to always go out into the world and be themselves and show the world that they're here to play big and have their hearts fulfilled and pursue dreams and fall and fail and make mistakes, but not be afraid to try. And if I wanted that for them, there was one pivotal moment. I won't fully blow it because we do talk about it in the podcast episode. And there was one pivotal moment where I thought, if I want this for them, I have to do this myself. And it kind of unlocked me a little bit like a key. And I thought, well, fuck it, I can do it. We'll figure it out. I'll try it. And there have been ups and downs and skin knees since then, like crazy, but I've never felt miserable. I've always felt like I'm stumbling forward and I'm me. And it feels good and I'm unapologetic. And so I literally I closed my business. I started a whole new business using the same skill set and network that I was doing before. I got a divorce. I bought a new house. I bought my own car for the first time in my entire life. That was a wild, it was a wild moment, like big purchases that I was affording on my own. I'd been told that my job was a hobby and that I couldn't do it on my own. And check it out, folks. I do. And I do it on my own terms. And I have a great fucking time. And I have a ton of awesome clients. And I wrote a whole damn book. And it's available for pre-order next week.
Woo!
It's crazy, right? But yeah, in the last year, this whole stepping out of fear and into bravery thing, I launched a new division of my company. I'm starting a second podcast. I wrote and produced this book. I did a deck of manifestation cards with a client of mine who's a creative coach and I'm a brave coach. And we did these beautiful decks. We did a Kickstarter that was awesome. So, I don't believe in telling people anything if you're not willing to practice what you preach. So I'm in the trenches with everybody.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
That's
Thanks. Awesome.
Thank you. So yeah.
Where can people find you and find the book if they want it?
Absolutely. You can find me at vickeryandco.com. I actually encourage all of you come hang out with me. Nancy, are you in Brave on Purpose? Have you come to hang out with us over there yet?
No.
Well, come on over, friend.
Okay.
So Brave on Purpose Collective is it's a free group. It's a Facebook group. I don't love Facebook groups any more than the rest of you love Facebook groups, but we're all still there right now. That's where we are. But it's a group of badass people who are looking for a community of people who are showing up, even when it's hard. And sometimes the best version of showing up is saying, is it okay for me not to show up today? Yeah, that's how you show up for yourself. It can be anything. Bravery can be defined by anything. So we're stepping out of fear and into bravery in every possible way, and Brave on Purpose. So go to facebook.com/groups Brave on Purpose, or search Brave on Purpose and come hang out there. If you go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, if you go to vickeryandco.com/guide, you'll get a one-on-one quick guide to the Brave method. And then I'll be able to send you the link to pre-order when Ingram Spark finally makes it go live, which would be awesome. Hopefully very soon. Everything is taking days longer than anticipated. And I'm just sitting here patiently thinking I should just go take a bath, because watching this and hitting that button again, the refresh button that's not helpful. Don't do that. Yeah. So it's great. The book officially comes out on October 28th, but you will be able to pre-order it soon. And I really think you're going to like it.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And you are doing cool things. First of all, well, I won't go first of all. I want you to tell everybody what you're doing, but also your clever marketing approach for how you're pitching it. I just am in love with it. So
like what aspect?
The travel aspect.
The plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plane. Yeah. So tell folks what your new program is all about.
So it's called the Flame Tree Collective, and it is not a free Facebook group. It is.
I have a very big investment program as well. I'm all for getting paid for your work, but we got to start somewhere.
And I have a free Facebook group too. I noticed you also have collective in the word, and I was like feeling like my fear of like, who am I to charge money for my collective? But then it's like, no, actually, I'm calling people to step into this brave thing.
Yeah.
And really step into making a commitment for their own transformation, for the transformation of the planet. And this is a 6-month commitment where 12 people are going to come together and get clear on their vocational gifts and their superpowers, and like nurture them in a new way so that, work doesn't feel heavy or burdensome, but it feels light. And I think oftentimes we're just like a little bit askew from what our full intention and purpose is. And therefore it gets heavy and hard. So this is going to be, I'm using some different personality profiles to help people get clear on what is their unique purpose and how can they use that in the world. And then as we're meeting, and like, I would say one of my superpowers is cultivating community and bringing people together so that they can really hear each other and nurture each other. Like I don't necessarily see myself as this big leader at the front, sharing all this wisdom. I'm more of a behind the scenes leader that like brings the flock together to share the collective wisdom. And that's a big part of
collective wisdom.
Yeah. Like I think we're so used to in this society having one man at the top that's the leader and everyone listens and is guided. And it's like, no, actually we all have so much wisdom within us.
Shared vision. Yeah.
Like let's listen to each other and learn from each other. And then as we're listening, we're also going to notice through lines so that we can together create something in the world that makes a huge difference. And so part of the collective is making a venture or a nonprofit or something that creates so much good for everyone involved.
I love that. I think there are a lot of really cool things about your program, but I love that greater good component. It's really important to me. Every week when I release a new episode of the Brave Files, I have the guests share their favorite charity, and we have a charity of the week. And so, giving back is a really important core component to who I am in my life and in my business. And this idea of helping people build these ventures that are for the greater good is so cool and so lovely. For folks who follow me and haven't had the pleasure of knowing you yet, can you give a little background on your skill set and what brought you to this? And then you said personality types, you're talking about human development, and sort of let people know. So you said, who am I? to offer this paid collective. So let's tell folks who you are to offer this paid collective.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have a drink of wine because it's
Mm.
Friday afternoon. Do not judge me, people. It's been a long week.
I am Nancy Shadlock, and I embody this magic that helps me hear people and really like hold space for them to hear themselves. And
nice.
that then kind of percolates to the point where they're like, oh, there's so much more of me that I want to share with the world. And like they expand into offering that. And so I've done that in the last couple of years through coming out coaching and helping people get honest about what's this deeper truth about them that it's been too scary to share with the world so far. And by like holding that safe space, people are able to share about sexuality, but also about like work changes or relationship changes, and share that coming out with me first. And then I then support them in sharing that with their world in an empowered way, rather than this like sheepish way. Oh, there's this thing about me, but hey, there's this thing about me. I've realized it to be more true, and I want to share it with you. And that makes
I
a
love
big
that.
difference.
And that's what your podcast is about. And it kind of blew me away when you were like, well, what are all your different coming out stories? Because we think so binary about that term, right? And how you could be coming out as all of these other things as well. And okay, so I'm gonna go off book here.
We haven't had any book all along.
I hope you still like me after this. I feel like the goal as activists, as community leaders, as folks, it should be to get to a point where we don't have to come out about anything, right?
Yeah.
My partner, it works in D&I, and she's like, my goal is to put myself out of work. Totally. I want to do this so well that we don't need this anymore, and I'll figure something else out. And we're far off, but I have a personal story. One of my daughters, actually 3 of my daughters, have come out somewhere on the sexuality spectrum, and they're very unapologetic about it. And they didn't have to come out to me. We just talked about who we have crushes on and how we're feeling things or whatever. But one of my daughters called my parents and said, oh, I'm going to homecoming. I want to show you my dress. And my mom said, do you have a date? And she said, I did, but she broke up with me. And my parents were cool, but my mom immediately called. She's like, well, we didn't know. And I said, you didn't know what? And she's like, well, how is she identifying? And I'm like, oh, right. Well, she's not really sure about that, but you wouldn't ask. I didn't know if it was a boy. Right. So we're normalizing not having to come out at our house. If you don't have to do it when you're straight, you don't have to do it when you're gay or when you're not straight, whatever that looks like. And so I'm wondering, like, where on the trajectory of, because the work you're doing is so important, like, where do you see doing this so well that we don't need this anymore?
Well, I've just stopped. Like, I've stopped focusing in so much on the coming out side and recognizing like it's all about coming in. And I recognize that subtle hue of coming out coaching denotes a problem, and like I need to help you come out and like all this stuff. And so I'm going to stop putting energy into that. I'm going to put energy into coming in and like helping people come into themselves, because that is where all the juice is.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. So if folks join your collective, and then you have to tell people about the marketing, because I talked about that and they don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but it's so cool. How will they come into themselves? What will they get?
I think a big gift of this collective and this like intentional meeting, carving out space every other week, is, that slowing down to actually hear ourselves in ways that we don't usually take the time to do. And when we're hearing ourselves, we can celebrate parts of who we are, and we can hear the parts that are unaligned and make thoughtful choices about what we want to change, because we're paying attention to it. And like the stress comes up when we're trying to like go and like not hear what's unaligned, and or we know it's there and we're trying so hard to make it not be that. Like all stress comes up from the places that we're not accepting what is.
That's the quote. That's the quote of the day, folks. All stress comes up when we're not accepting what it is. Is that what you said?
What is?
Yeah. What is? Yeah. I love that. I that's the first thing I tell all of my clients is first we need to understand your habits, patterns, and behaviors. Like once you're really aware of what you're really doing, thinking, or feeling, you're going to start to change it before you even intentionally start to change it. Because if we don't like it and we're being honest about it, we do something different because we're human.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't like the way it feels every time I look in the mirror and call myself fat and ugly. Until we can acknowledge we don't like the way that feels, we keep doing it, right? Yeah. What is? I love that. All right, cool. Tell people about your clever marketing approach.
So on my website, centered.ca, you'll see that there's a plane in the collective, and it's a 12-seater plane. And so I'm using human design and a derivative called the gene keys that it has. In the gene keys, there's a vocational sphere, and it tells you like what your gifting is and what, like how to be sharing your magic in the world. And there's 6 archetypes of it. And so I'm going to have 2 people in each row of each archetype. So, there's people that are the script writers, and they have these ideas, and there's people that are the philanthropists that know like where to make the biggest impact in the world. My archetype is the producer, and so I'm starting to live into that, where my role is to bring together all the different parts to talk to each other and like create these things. And so it's been really revolutionary for me to learn more about this for myself, and then any of the clients that I've worked with that have come and done like a superpowers discovery session have just been like, oh yeah, I kind of knew that in the back of my mind, but now that I see it on paper, I'm going to live into it even more impactfully. And it's made a huge difference in their lives.
That's so cool. Okay. So you told folks how they could find you. What's their investment look like?
$5,000 for the 6 months.
For the 6 months.
Not so bad. And part of that's going to go into this creating the
that's cool. So you're going to use that to fund the greater good venture. Yeah, that's awesome. And when did we take off? When is flight?
The flights leave next Friday, October 8th. So yeah, get on.
It's my daughter's 17th birthday.
Oh, nice.
Good day. They go from being 7 minutes old to 17 years old very quickly. Yeah, it's wild talk. It's wild. Awesome. Well, I think it's cool, and I think folks should go and check your stuff out. It's just fascinating. It's just an approach that I haven't really seen anybody else do in a way. I mean, we all of us in the coaching sphere, we help you find your why and your purpose and build and grow and feel good, but everybody does it differently. And that's kind of my favorite thing is this is ever growing work. It isn't like you're going to do it one time and one way and have it all figured out. And so it's such a new, unique approach. If you've tried other things and you've hit a ceiling, because I think that's what happens. We do what we do really well until we hit a ceiling. I'm like, oh, we need to try something else. And Nancy's approach is so unique, and you'll probably learn a lot about yourself in ways that you haven't from some of the other work you've done. So, well, I hope that the plane is nice and full.
Yeah, there's a couple seats left, so come and check it out. Hope to have people join.
Absolutely. You can bring your copy of Fuck Fearless with you on the flight.
Yes, exactly. That'll be the in-flight reading for our trip. We might actually have our virtual retreat. Well, we'll have our virtual retreat at the beginning, and then towards the end, we're going to have a live retreat, COVID gone, fingers crossed, in Kenya. So like we actually might have a long flight that we'll have to take your book along.
That is so cool. I love that. I hope that you get to do that. That's exciting. And I hope everybody takes a copy of the book and that y'all enjoy it. And then let me know what you think about it. My favorite part of the work that I do is when I get these unexpected messages from people who have either seen me speak or read something I've written or listened to the podcast. And I got a message this morning. One of my regular listeners said, I'm celebrating today. And you were the first person I thought of to share it with. Because I ask that in every episode of the Brave Files. How do you celebrate? And I just am so touched by that. So y'all have to let me know what you're celebrating and how you're choosing bravely and all that good stuff. Well, Nancy, thanks for spending a little time with me so we could
this is fun.
collectively share the love.
Totally. Good things going on in the world. Keep it up.
Man. I know, you too. I love it. Good energy. Well, have a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.